I'm here today to talk to you guys about a common problem that we see in veterinary medicine with our dogs, a behavioral problem, separation anxiety. Separation anxiety is the anxiety that a dog deals with when they're separated from their owner, usually when left at home, because most people have to go to work or leave the home. So I get this concern a lot from clients, and there's a lot of different factors that play into that, and there's a lot of things that we can do to help. And if somebody's concerned about that with their dog, it's always good, for them to talk to us so that we can help improve that situation and improve the quality of life for that dog and that owner. There are a lot of things that play into anxiety for dogs. Sometimes there's breed dispositions. Sometimes it's situations that those dogs have been through that have created anxiety. Sometimes there's an innate, personality that they're born with. And sometimes it's lack of sort of socialization and stimulation. At Firehouse, there are certain things that we think that will help a lot with separation anxiety, and we talk to owners about doing appropriate exercise to burn off nervous energy and get their pets out and stimulated. Other ways to do mental stimulation by doing training, things where our dogs have to think and work through problems because they're very, very intelligent animals and they need a lot to do. And then sometimes there's times where we reach for certain things like more in the medication realm, either nutraceuticals, so supplements that can help with anxiety, and there's quite a few out there now, which is really nice. And along with that is the medicine side of it. Sometimes we do, for some dogs, have to use certain types of medications. With behavioral problems, we are so happy to help in that aspect, but I do have people also reach out to trainers or even boarded behavior specialists, veterinary boarded behavior specialists in those cases where that's needed. Other things that people can do specifically for separation anxiety, things that I talk to people about is making sure that arrivals and departures when people leave the home and come back are nonchalant. I know this is a really hard thing for people to do, but sometimes you have to ignore your dog for 10 to 20 minutes before leaving because feeding into their anxiety and reinforcing those anxious behaviors can make it worse. There's music therapy for dogs. There are resources out there where we can play really calming music, and that can be really helpful. For some dogs, using certain types of window films or coverings to help avoid triggers that may be coming from the outside that might trigger anxiety can be helpful. Classical conditioning, which we use all the time, but we sometimes forget about. Instead of using hugging and petting when dogs are anxious or fearful, using food, because that food is a positive reinforcement. So if dogs will take treats when they're nervous or anxious, that can turn that nervous, anxious time into a more positive experience for that dog. When we are somewhat coddling and reinforcing the nervous behavior, the dog learns from that is the appropriate behavior. Exercise, I can't emphasize exercise. Appropriate exercise for that dog in that stage of life is really important. Getting out of the home, going for controlled leash walks, or more as needed. Feeding dogs on a regular schedule. Everybody loves, habits, and feeding, pets on a regular schedule, a certain amount of food, which is appropriate for that pet is really helpful. Even just doing fun training classes to help socialize your dog in a controlled setting, can be a really important thing for a lot of dogs and can give you tools and ways to learn to communicate with your dog. When dogs are anxious and nervous, also maybe using some of those things that you've learned, the commands, and if they're doing a behavior that we don't want, instead of reprimanding or giving a negative reinforcement, we try to just detract them from that and give them something else to do. Try to switch the behavior. So those are some of the things that can help with separation anxiety. Inappropriate crating, you know, if that's the right situation for that dog. There's a lot of resources for cameras where people can, you know, people can watch at home and see what their dog is doing, so we can better understand the behavior. You know, how much anxiety is this dog dealing with? Does this dog need medications as well too? With cats, we don't see the same situations as far as separation anxiety. We do see other behavioral issues in cats. Cats are also incredibly intelligent animals and do suffer from boredom living in our homes. They need a lot of stimulation. They need things to climb on. They need things to look at. You know, it's great to have windows and things for them to be able to watch wildlife outside and see some of that outside world, and have toys to play with that are safe and appropriate, and have specific play times with their owners. You know, we sometimes aren't as good about getting into habits like that because our cats are so self-sufficient and independent, but it is so important for them, and they love it and they thrive on it. So, you know, we can improve a lot of behavioral issues such as inappropriate urination. Sometimes they're doing that because they're stressed. That can also be a medical condition. So I encourage everybody to always talk to your veterinarian about that, because we want to make sure that we're addressing that appropriately. But scratching behaviors, you know, some cats will be destructive and tear up things. And I have a cat at home like that. So we do a lot of activities at home to give him a lot to do. But specific separation anxiety is not something we typically deal with in the same way with cats as we do dogs. Yeah. So I think the biggest scenario that we deal with with cats in sort of a separation anxiety issue is not maybe on a daily basis like owners leaving to go to work, but when owners go out of town. You know, they go out of town for a few days, maybe they have a pet sitter come or a neighbor come to take care of the cat or cats. And we have cats that maybe don't eat as well. They maybe go outside of the litter box, you know, to go to the bathroom instead of going in their litter box, even though it's being cleaned appropriately, which that's always very important for cats. But they don't eat as well, and maybe they don't do some of the same normal activities because their owners or their people are not there. So it's not the same sort of outside symptoms that we see with dogs, and dogs tend to be, you know, more demonstrative, I think, with their separation anxiety, but it's definitely there. Cats are just probably a little more elusive about their separation anxiety from their owners. So if you see any signs or symptoms with your dog, you know, inappropriate urination or defecation, you know, going to the bathroom in the house when you're gone, when you don't expect it, any evidence of things that are chewed up or destroyed, or there's drooling, or sometimes dogs will hurt themselves. You'll see torn nails because they've been digging or scratching, and in some situations they've been in a crate and maybe they've injured a tooth because they've been trying to bite the crate because they're that stressed and anxious. So any of those situations, or a lot of times people will see the anxiety before they're leaving, please contact us, because we're so happy to help and talk through that and come up with help you come up with a solution that can help. And then with cats, if we're seeing anything abnormal with cats, because they tend to, like I said, not be as outwardly demonstrative of their symptoms, but with cats, if you're seeing any, you know, decrease in appetite, they're not eating as well, any inappropriate bathroom habits, so they're going outside of their litter box, you know, any hiding or not coming out for their normal social behaviors, anything like that, we would definitely want to know about that so we can see if there's something going on and see what we can do to help.